What's up, homies and homettes? This is Jason, baseball collector. Just kidding, zombie collector. I know it's so confusing. I just kind of want to do this video. It's a little hodgepodge, if you will, of my evening. I hung out with my very first YouTuber here on our community, or in our community, not on it, in it. Today, it was Bob Lewis, the infamous Bob Lewis. He was in town for work. We kind of connected and talked about maybe trying to get together. And his schedule opened up as well as mine as far as to get together for dinner tonight. And it worked out great. And I just kind of want to talk a little bit about that and about the community, because I've seen videos from other people and they talked about having the opportunity to meet. I know Ray's done a video before with someone out. All of a sudden, I can't remember the name, but I know Ray's done a YouTube video before. I've known Pepino Man has done a YouTube video before with some people who came out to visit that area. Obviously, Nate has done, him and Eric have like a co-op thing they do, as well as Mike and Dave. They do one as well. So, it's kind of cool to see, collaborations and people hanging out and things of that sort. And I'm sure I forgot some other people. But, I didn't honestly think it was going to ever happen to me unless I go to the Nationals someday, because, I live in Indiana. It's the crossroads of America, but not too many people from the YouTube baseball community is crossroading through Indiana too often. And so when Bob said, hey, man, I'm actually going to be in town for the next week or so, I was like, we should try to get together. And so my suggestion to him was, like, where do you want to go eat? He was like, yeah, I'm up for whatever. So I thought, since I'm a junk era type of guy, and he grew up the same time I did as well, and he also collects that type of, 80s and 90s, that seems through his collection, I was like, no place better than a throwback to a Chinese mall food. So we went to picturesque Anderson, Indiana, and there's a place called Kung Fu Cafe that I introduced him to, where, remember back in the 80s and 90s, you would go through your mall cafeteria, the mall, the big mall, what do you call it, food court, and you would get your little chicken on a stick or whatever. Well, they have a place like that in Anderson, but it's just a single location. Took him there, and it was a hit. Apparently, he liked his food, so that was good. I like it. I've been there, obviously, multiple times. And so we dug that. So we went there, hung out, and while we were there, I was like, Bob, you are on holy land here in Anderson. And he had me that look like, what? And I'm like, this is the land that has produced two MLB megastars. Carl Erskine, the Brooklyn Dodger extraordinaire, and the Toronto Blue Jays top first baseman in the aughts, Adam Lynn. And so we had a good talk about that. And then it was just cool catching it up with Bob. I mean, it was an awesome experience. Obviously we had never met before, but we had already kind of like a rapport. We talked a lot. I mean, it's kind of surprising how much he knows about like films. I was kind of caught off guard, because this whole time I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm the only one in our community that really has any deep interest in like cinema. And Pepino Man has surprised me. Chase has talked a lot about that. Now Bob is like, we're talking about Argento, we're talking about Lynch, we're talking about Carpenter. I mean, we're talking about splatter films, we're talking about just all kinds of stuff, just amazing stuff. We talked about the infamous They Live and Suspiria, and it just was amazing. I just could not believe we're talking about was it Big Trouble in Little China. It was just so cool. You would think we talked about just baseball, but it was just kind of cool that we're all over the place. Talked about a lot about Pittsburgh and him growing up, as well as myself and son in Louisville, Kentucky, son in Indiana. And we talked a lot about our collections and about YouTube in general, eBay. I mean, we just talked a little bit about everything. We talked a lot about, we talked a little bit about Wu-Tang Clan. it was just a really, really fun experience. I'm not going to go into every single detail, but I just want to share, like, it was an experience where, like, I'm not going to get to go to nationals and connect with a lot of people that will be going there starting tomorrow and through the weekend. And it was just kind of cool to have my own little experience with somebody. And we're supposed to try to get together this weekend. If it works out, great. And I'm sure eventually maybe we'll get together again at some point. But, it was just cool to talk to somebody who has already a point of reference that you do. It's very unusual, and I think all of us would agree, to sound like my refrigerator was like coming alive and getting ready to attack me. But it's very unusual to like find somebody that has the same sort of, passions and interests that you have at the same level, and be able to have a, like I said, this like you can be able to like talk to each other, like know exactly where each other's coming from. I mean, some of you all do, because again, you live near other collectors, like as your videos have shown. But it's like with Nate and Eric, obviously they know each other, they've been friends, as well as apparently Dave and Mike and things, and so it's kind of cool to see that. But I don't have that really. My friend Matt shows up and things like that in our video, but he's not in the YouTube community, so there's not a personality that goes along with him that we've been able to come to know. And it's just been really cool to do that. And I just wanted to say, I always talk about my videos, love each other, support each other, and respect each other. And and I couldn't be more thrilled than to be able to connect with Bob like that. So, he shared some with me about like his what Tony mentioned in his video yesterday for like some of your collecting goals for the rest of the year, and we shared a little bit about that. And I just want to kind of end the conversation with that. He kind of set me up, man, and I mean, like, I was blown away by his generosity, and I really just gave this video not only just to talk about how it was cool to hang out with Bob, and I look forward to doing it again, and just kind of hopefully building a friendship with him, because he's definitely a guy I feel like I can connect with and be able to like just build a friendship with. But he kind of set me up, and it kind of goes back to we were talking about our needs and wants, because of what Tony mentioned in his review or his video about hey, what the rest of the year looks like for you as far as your collecting. So we were talking about that, and he was asking me some questions, and we were sharing. I was sharing some with him as well. He was with me, and then before we left, he was like, "Hey, I got something for you," and I'm like, "Okay." And so I was like, "All right, we're in a dark parking lot right now at a restaurant that's getting ready to shut down with hardly nobody around." He's like, "I got something I want to give you," and I'm like, "Oh man, I hope it's not a shot to the face, because I'm not really into getting pistol whipped in the middle of a parking lot. That's not really my idea of a good time." And he pulls this out of his pocket and says, "Here, man, I want you to have this." And I'm like, I look down, and he has this. And he set me up big time, guys. He asked me if I actually had this Don Mattingly rookie card for it, and I said, verbatim, I believe I used to at one point in time, but, I've done so much moving around the United States and the world that, my dad may have it somewhere in his collection, but I have never seen it in years and years. And I was like, it's probably like going through a jungle to try to figure it out if it's still at my dad's house, because my dad's a collector as well. But I don't have this in my collection. I really want it, but I felt like the Don Rose was that pinnacle one, and so I was like, maybe I'll shoot big. But I didn't have any, I didn't have this card. I had his tops, and when he pulled this out and said, "Hey man, this you should have this," I mean, I was seriously almost got a little teary eyed. It was like so kind of him. And, of course I told him, thank you so much, and you really shouldn't have, and it was not necessary. I mean, all the things you'd expect somebody to say to give you a nice gift like this. But I mean, this probably is by far one of the most generous gifts. And like I said, to me, it's not even about, even though it looks like it's in mint condition. It's just the fact that he thought enough to plan ahead, to set me up, to ask me that kind of question, and then to be like, "Here, you deserve this." And so I just want to say thank you, Bob Lewis. You are definitely a guy that I feel like, moving forward, we should be able to like build a strong friendship based on the hobby, but more importantly, just as, fathers and and just, collectors and stuff. And I mean, it means a whole lot. So thank you very much. Again, guys, this is something about the hobby that a lot of us, I just think, is what it's about. Just supporting each other, loving each other, respecting each other, but, doing something nice for one another, paying it forward. I definitely want to, try to, it's not about trying to pay Bob back, but I just wanted to say, like, a thank you, and I'm definitely going to be working on getting him a few things maybe to say thank you. And he wasn't doing this to say, I want something from you. We actually talked a lot about that, actually, care packages and things of that sort. So, anyways, man, one more time, thank you, Bob Lewis. And, check out his channel. But look, this is what a generosity of another collector, another YouTuber looks like. So I definitely appreciate it. So again, guys, peace, respect each other, love each other, and support each other. And until then, cream, cash rules everything around me.